to Operation Iraqi Freedom. My unit, the 183rd Maintenance Company from here at Fort Carson, deployed in January of '03, and we got orders to deploy in it was like October, September of '02. So, I mean, it's kind of weird getting orders that say you're going to Kuwait and then on X next date to question mark. Like, that was our orders. Like, what the heck is that? You know, like, we didn't even know what was going on. You know, Colin Powell's up in front of the UN telling people that Saddam has WMDs, and so here we are getting geared up for that. I mean, at one point in Kuwait, our uniform on Wednesdays was to carry around a gas mask just to be ready for this so-called WMDs attack. And sitting there in Kuwait, it's kind of weird. You're like, well, we're gonna do this. Are we gonna do this, or we're gonna not? And like March, it starts getting super blazing hot. And so, like, as a soldier there, you're like, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen, regardless. They didn't amass all these troops here on the border for nothing. And I wrote a poem about an incident in '03 when I was sitting in a chow hall after countless alarms and mortar attacks or missiles being launched into Kuwait. The alarm sounds. Lightning, lightning, lightning. All I want to do is eat my meal in peace. But with the fear of WMDs, I don my protective gear. 8 minutes or else. The Army says, but no one takes 8 minutes. Thousands of men and women silent. A giant mess hall, frozen. No one joked. No one said a word. It would be a lie to say these men were without fear. They were terrified. Meanwhile, sweat pools up around my face. The pro mask so hot, so god-awful sweaty. In this gear, everyone looks the same. Faceless and emotionless. Thousands of scared, lifeless soldiers. Are they thinking of home or the meal that was interrupted? Are they thinking about WMDs or how fucking hot this NBC gear is? Finally, all clear, all clear. Now the place erupts. Masks are removed. Chairs squeak as they're pushed in. Madness as everyone rushes for the door. Eventually, people will joke that this is becoming routine. Alarms with no attacks. Routine or not, I taste the fear. And so, after the war kicked off, my unit was fixing people's equipment before it went north, and we thought we were going to be in Kuwait the whole time, hopefully being home by July. You know, like, we had these Desert Storm vets telling us, like, if you have the faith of the mustard seed, we'll be home by July 4th. And we're like, what? What are you kidding me? And so as soon as Jessica Lynch's unit was ambushed, my unit was the first one in line to head north. And so we were no longer just chilling in Kuwait, swimming in the pool. Like, Arachon had a swimming pool. It was a weird base to be on. You could be in civilian clothes, and then all of a sudden we're going up to war. And we spent our time up there, not doing anything, just wondering, why are we here? And when George Bush declares mission accomplished, guess where we went? Back to Kuwait, thinking hell yeah, we're going home. Wrong, we're not going home. The war's still going on, occupation at this point. And so from that point on, we just sat around in Kuwait for 6 months just wondering, what are we doing here? Why am I sitting in 120 degree temperature when this war was based on lies? Eventually my unit came back, and by the mid-year of '04, I found out I was deploying again. The Army has a policy, the stop-loss policy, that they don't really tell you about when you sign up. You're like, oh yeah, 8 years, pff, don't worry about it, you'll never get called back unless it's World War III. Yeah, and so here I'm sitting there, like, hoping to get out within less than a year, and then I find out I'm being stop-loss. I'm being held over for another year for this deployment in '05. And if you look on my discharge papers, my DD-214, it says Specialist Man was held 280 days at the convenience of the government. Like, what? I wanted to go to college. That's all I wanted to do. And, like, the government was just so blazing about it. Just like, we didn't even have a sit down to tell us that, hey, you're going back. Thanks for your service the first time. We need you again. It was just like, bam, on a computer screen. Like, what? You can't just give me talk to me face to face? And so I eventually deployed again in '05, and it was this year that the war changed from being a war of like front lines and like moving forward to an occupation. They at this interval of the war, they hired Kellogg Brown and Root, a Halliburton company, to do my maintenance company's mission. And I fixed radios and other communications devices, and it took a lot of training to get knowledged up on all the equipment, and we had to have a security clearance to work on the radios. And Kellogg Brown and Root hired people to do our jobs, but they neither had the training or the equipment to do the job. So stuff we brought over from Fort Carson that was Army equipment, we signed over to the civilian company to do our jobs. And then we had to train them. So I'm sitting there training these guys to do my job, and they're getting paid $75,000 a year. That's like the lowest guy. That's the lowest guy getting paid that much money, tax-free, for something that I already was trained to do. And as a result, I set up on a guard tower, watching Iraqis farm fish. These guys were in a canal right by the tower, and they had this like electric prod that they like slammed into the water, and the fish got electrocuted. I was like, hell yeah, do it up, man. Like get your food somehow, you know, because we're fucking it over here. They call Balad Air Base. If you look at the Wikipedia article on it, there's a link to an article that talks about it being a small, friendly town of Peel. Like, feels like it's a little town, 30,000 people. And it's like, what? Like, this is a base that we took over with bombs and guns and then build up in front of all these people that barely have electricity. So I also wrote a poem about that in '05 about being on the guard tower instead of doing radio work. Anaconda, Maine, this is Tower 17, over. Tower 17, this is Anaconda, Maine. Depending on the time of day, Anaconda, Maine was both woman or male. I never really knew. Tower 17, this is Anaconda, Maine. Ah, the woman, how sweet she sounds. Anaconda, Maine, I am bored. Rod speaks few words. He's making this guard tower hard. And the wind howls, and this creaky tower shakes. An Iraqi child rides a bike by. Fuck you, fuck Bush, he yells. I throw my hands up. Man, I don't want to be here. And yell, fuck Bush, if he could only knew. The canal, oh, the nasty canal. Water, dirty, disgusting, unfit for human consumption. My brain, though, was frying. I wanted to hurl myself into this poisonous water. My gun, oh my gun. My effing large machine gun. It was my burden, my albatross, my cross to bear. As if my NCOs thought it was a joke. Shit, I convoyed to Iraq with 2 guns in 2003. This had to be a joke. Smallest guy, biggest gun? Come on, 2 guns? I must be Rambo. Yet, they were never loaded. I'm not sure why I was on guard without my machine gun loaded. Was I being stupid? Or was it I was an American in a American-created war zone. Or was it being smart? My silent statement I did not want to kill. Anaconda, Maine, this is Tower 17. Tower 17, go ahead. Anaconda, Maine, can you turn off the sun? The sweat drips from every pore. I feel like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, but it's not blood I shed, just stinging, salty, dirty sweat. And it isn't the sins of the world I atone for, only the sins of one man and one nation.